The content discussed in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial or mortgage advice. Always consult with a licensed professional before making any decisions regarding mortgages or financial matters.
Welcome to the Canadian Mortgage Show. Here are mortgage professionals Alex Pang and Alex Shanks to cut through the BS and educate Canadians on all things mortgages and real estate.
Canada is considering changes in its ban on foreign buyers.
You know, I think at the end of the day, it's like, how effective might this be if you were to allow that to happen? So let's say, okay, foreign buyers, you're allowed to buy new construction condominium units. Are they really going to flock back to Canada to be purchasing these new condos at the price that developers have to sell them at, knowing that the goal of the government is to do it to keep prices down, so they're adding supply?
Like the rental, like, it's not like they're going to be making a bunch of money on the rental markets are going down. And that's where, yeah, it's obviously investing in Vancouver and Toronto. Before it was like, ooh, 7, 8, 10% appreciation average over the 10 years. And so it was a really nice way to like increase money, where now it's like, hey, put your money in here, but it's most likely not going to grow.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 69 of the Canadian Mortgage Show. Alex Pang here alongside Alex Shanks. We have a special guest today, our friend of the show, our first repeat guest, and happens to be our first guest, Hasan Juma from Oakwyn Realty. Welcome back, Hasan.
Awesome. Thanks for having me back, guys. Super excited.
Awesome. Well, folks, hey guys, how was your holiday?
It doesn't feel, I didn't want it to end this week. It was like, all right, real life actually has to start here now.
Yeah. I found like for me, like December was relatively busy, like work-wise, the first couple weeks. And then I think as of like the 18th, it finally slowed down. It was really nice to like actually see family again and friends that I hadn't seen in a long time. So it was good. And yeah, this week kind of getting back into it right away a little bit. So it's good. How about you, Alex?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what do you guys find, or what do you guys find? Like, I find that 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, no one calls me, no one emails me, no one texts me about anything to do with real estate.
Yeah.
It's the only time I can actually have a clear brain. And on the 26th, boom, 5, 6 people calling me. It's like, really? Like, is this not still a holiday?
Yeah. I think what I find is like definitely 24th and 25th, for sure. And then like amongst realtors and probably amongst yourselves, like we find the best time for us to take breaks is like first week of January, right? Like right now when everyone's going back to work and maybe they're not so much thinking about real estate. But it's so hit or miss, right? When the phone rings, you got to pick it up in our world. So
Similar to you, Hasan, actually, I was starting to slow down the beginning of December because I had a busy fourth quarter and it kind of tailed off at the beginning of December. Still had to do stuff. I kind of internally kind of shut it down around after the 15th or 17th, what it is. And then I spent a lot of time playing PlayStation. I felt guilt free on my PlayStation. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I'm the type of guy that likes to do the storyline, but all the side missions, every collectible, 100% completion. So I get max value for the
Give
game.
me the I want it done now. Give me the straight storyline and that's it. I'm trying to play Minecraft with my son, and that's not a game for me. I don't like building things like that. Like, I want a reason to be doing it.
Yeah. And I'm not good enough on these side missions that sometimes I get lost, and I know myself, I get super frustrated if I can't figure it out myself. So I go on YouTube, try to help figure out where do I get this, or like, where the hell is this found? I'm like, oh, that's good. And then my kids think I'm totally cheating. I'm like, there's videos on there because people like me struggle. I want to enjoy the game and not get pissed off.
as long as you give it a shot first, a few times, right? You give it a shot first, try and do it on your own.
Don't tell me.
You're not even doing that. You're not even doing that, eh?
I put the difficulty on easy. He just didn't finish it.
Are you even playing the game, or are you just watching it on YouTube and stuff?
Yeah.
A bit of both. I'm like, especially I need help on YouTube when I have to fight a boss that they're so hard even on easy mode. I'm like, and I don't have the patience to, like, the bosses usually have a pattern and you kind of have to go in and then jab, and then run away and dodge, and then wait till their whole routine. And then, like, you have to kind of repeat that for like 20, 30 times. I sometimes go in kamikaze and just like,
Yeah.
and then die. So
That's
yeah,
hilarious. Nice to
that's what.
decompress that way to get the opportunity to play games, right? Like,
Yes, and not feel any guilt because the
yeah,
phones are quiet, nothing's happening and all that stuff. So
yeah, yeah. That's a good point. Like I find 24th and 25th, it's guilt free. It's guilt free to do nothing at all. Like if you want to sit on your couch, whatever you want to do. But that's a good point, especially as like entrepreneurs, self-employed. You always feel like you should be doing something every day, except maybe those 2 days. So
yeah, even for myself, like I knew that the La La Land was ending. Last week doing goal setting and vision casting for the year and kind of getting your mind into like, oh, okay, Monday's here. I have no more excuses. And
yeah.
I got to get back into my prospecting and all that stuff. And yeah, this week so far has been really busy. I'm sure the same for both of you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Picking up
So
already yourself.
so, folks, first of all, folks, for those listening, Happy New Year. This is our first episode of 2026. The reason why we brought in Hasan here is there's a whole bunch of topics that Alex and I want to talk about, catch up on the last couple weeks. We want Hasan's opinion about it, and so we brought him in not as a like we're interviewing him, but we want him as a guest host today. So let's get right into it. The first thing on the docket, I think Hasan will can chime into here is Canada is considering changes in its ban on foreign buyers starting in 2027 when the current ban expires, says Housing Minister Gregor Robertson slash former Vancouver Mayor Gregor Robertson. Now I quote, "We need to make sure the housing is built and owned for Canadians first," Gregor said. That said, we've seen more innovation on this in countries like Australia that enable some foreign investment into higher end new homes or in some cases, rental housing.
Fair.
Hassan, what do you think about that? Do you agree with it? Don't agree?
I agree that changes are necessary. I think that what they're doing in Australia, they're talking about the Australian model, where basically foreign buyers they can't purchase resale properties; they can purchase new construction, purpose-built rentals as well. So, kind of following that similar model, and obviously, the whole goal behind this is to get developers to build, right? To have them, have a clientele or purchasers to be able to do it. I think at the end of the day, it's like, how effective might this be if you were to allow that to happen? So let's say, okay, foreign buyers, you're allowed to buy new construction condominium units. Are they really going to flock back to Canada to be purchasing these new condos at the price that developers have to sell them at, knowing that the goal of the government is to do it to keep prices down, so they're adding supply? So they're basically saying, look, we want you to invest in Canada, put your money here, put it into new construction housing, but on the back end, it's all about trying to maintain pricing levels and keeping it low. So almost in essence saying your investment's not going to grow. We need you when we shunned you before. I just don't think it's going to have a big impact. What do you guys
Yeah,
think?
and I mean the rental, like, it's not like they're gonna be making a bunch of money on the rental. Rental markets are going down, and that's where, yeah, it's obviously investing in Vancouver and Toronto before it was like, ooh, 7, 8, 10% appreciation average over the 10 years. And so it was a really nice way to like increase money where now it's like, hey, put your money in here, but it's most likely not gonna grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we had big gains. We had big gains kind of 2015, 2017, and then they came in with the foreign buyer ban, but that was a much different time. We were coming off of the Olympics. We're showcasing that we're one of the best cities in the world. A lot has changed, if you will.
Yeah, it's almost like ever since rates shot up to the moon and government went reverse and admitting that inflation is not transitory, they essentially had to pour cold water on hyperinflation that they started, and killing the economy. And like, do you know if Australia has already started this model? Like, is this new?
Yeah.
Are they thinking about it? Has there been
Yeah, yeah.
any result on it? Like, is it too early to tell?
From what I've seen, it is pretty early, but there's been no downwards pressure on
Not moving,
pricing.
it's not moving the
Yeah.
needle in any way. It's not making prices lower, it's not making prices higher. And I mean, I feel like Australia, like they're trying lots of things, even for like home buyers. Like they have ways, like instead of you actually having to come up with a down payment, like if your family owns a home, you just have the bank will actually take retainer of your parents' equity,
Mm,
and you don't even have to give a down payment. And that,
wow.
like, to me, that's like really interesting. Of like, well, hey, if families have a lot of equity, but again, they don't want to actually take it out of their house. It's like, let's give other ways for people to buy into it. And then, yeah, they're, I just feel like they're trying to incentivize stuff more than anywhere else.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Hassan, in saying that we kind of recognize that pre-sales was largely financed by investors and speculators, right? And
Yeah.
since locals aren't buying any pre-sales, we're banking on non like offshore money to come in to kind of prop that up. But if
Yeah.
you're a foreign investor looking to invest your money, you want to invest it that it grows. And if it's not going to grow, then why bring your money here, right? Like there's other
Yeah.
countries that you can do it. Like what is it? I'm hearing that money is flowing through Dubai instead, or what other countries? Like is
Yeah,
it
I think
England,
also like if you
Germany?
can, if you're like if you're basically telling foreign investors that you can buy new construction and they're looking at the product and the properties available and they're looking at resale prices much lower than what they can buy new construction at, no one's a dummy, right? Like no one's a dummy, and they're going to start pouring in. We were just so much more, immigration friendly, foreigner friendly in general. People really felt that you come to Canada, land of opportunity, build a life here, and I feel like we haven't followed that model anymore over the last few years, and it probably makes some sense considering how we opened up the floodgates for everyone to come in, but you can't at some point you just can't go back. You can't just change that reputation of where we're at today. It's going to take some time. And I think some changes to a foreign buyer ban, little adjustments, not going to do much.
And I mean, on that, like the people that maybe bring money in, I mean, it's going to be pretty to be like, what? So why are you doing this? Most likely at a loss. It's like, okay, you're just trying to launder your money here for one in BC real estate, which we know has happened and everything.
Mhm.
And I mean, everything that's kind of going on in Japan with like how their funds are going, like lots of people had money there, they would borrow because it was pretty much negative interest rates,
Mhm.
and that's starting to tighten up. And why would people put something that there's not even anything? They could usually take the money from Japan, invest here in Canada, even if they weren't going to make much money. It was still, hey, I'm making a spread on it, where now that spread's going to be gone and there's no appreciation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, we all know that if you're a foreigner and want to launder your money, you got to do it through the casinos because white collar crime pays.
Yeah.
So,
No doubt.
yeah.
The one thing that I know we don't have on the agenda, and I mean, I don't love talking about the orange guy down south in the U.S. The one thing that he brought out today is that he wants to make it so like the corporations can't buy single family
Saw
homes.
that. Yeah.
And I mean, like, that's interesting. I mean, that's a big one. And I mean, I think he's made a lot of money by doing that as well. And that's where, like, in this case, it's like, well, these investments in higher end, like the new homes, well, why would they do it if corporations can't buy it? Like, these people aren't just buying these in their personal names. Most of those people that are buying here, these are all in
Yeah.
corporations.
Yeah.
I may not like, a lot of us may not like him, but for him to say that, that's actually one thing I agree with. Like residential homes should be
Totally.
owned by individuals and families and end users, not,
Yeah, in
like
many ways, he's working for his country, right? Like you look at the stuff he's doing, and you can look at it in many different ways, but at least the way he sees it in his eyes, he's doing things for his country, right? And we can either agree with it or disagree, but he's taking action. So
Mm, awesome. Alex, you want to get the next one?
Yeah, well, let's jump into this. I mean, we're not going to be bashing on Canada too much here today. I mean, that's most of the stuff that's going on in our economy here. And this is such a hard one. We got Mark Carney that's announcing another 2.5 billion to Ukraine, which is giving like the total like Canadian aid now at 24.5 billion. Now also I know that Christina Freeland just got hired as the new finance person for the Ukraine as well. So like, I just don't love when you get like all the fingers like connecting and so many things. Like we don't love to put the tinfoil hat on, but it's hard. And part of this thing, I think, for myself as a Canadian is like, tell me what this money is doing. Even if you could show me something small, hey, like it is going to build roads, it's going to build schools, it's going to build hospital, like I'd be able to at least feel good, like, hey, you know what? It's doing something. I think I saw something about some massive Ukrainian like ski resort that they just finished building for all like the ultra wealthy there. And it's like, well, like what the frick is going on down there?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, the money to Ukraine and other countries in general, I just feel like the benefit and what Canada gets out of it is so theoretical, like you just mentioned. There's no defined plan of exactly how this is, going to help us. So it's all theoretical. And yes, strengthen international relations, sure. But what are you doing like within our own borders, right? Where we clearly have a lot of issues to deal with. It's a broader topic. I try not to get too bogged down because when I think about stuff like this, I think it's so easy to get kind of
Well,
negatively
yeah.
tainted. And I'm like, you know what? If it's out of my control, I'm going to try and stay in my lane. But it's hard to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this 2.5 billion. Someone on X. I'm on X all the time because I'm looking at commentary. I mean, it's enough to build 2 hospitals, which our healthcare system sorely needs. I mean,
Mhm.
speaking of which, you heard, over the holidays, a 44-year-old man in Edmonton died waiting over 8 hours in the emergency for a doctor. Like you guys heard
Yeah.
about that, right? Like,
Yeah, I saw the videos and stuff too. It was pretty tough to watch. As a 44-year-old man myself, I was like, wow, this could happen to any one of us. So,
yeah. So
It's I mean, that's the problem. Yeah, I feel like some of our systems in Canada are broken, and like you said, though, it's like hard to stick your head into it. Then, like, what does it do? But I mean, in some cases, it's like, well, if we all don't do anything, nothing's going to happen at the same time. It's like we all do need to do something, and that's where, again, I would just hope like our politicians that are meant to be fighting for us, like at Parliament, are saying like, hey, where is this money going for? Tell us where it's going to. Tell us what it's being used for, so like we at least can hold people accountable. But I mean, again, we know that that's not going to happen.
yeah, yeah,
I hope that our podcast adds to the voice of public discourse or whatever. Just to maybe our pod gets out there that there's enough chatter out there that the people are not happy, that we need to keep governments accountable. Like this 2.5 billion, men. Like sure, we need to help foreign aid, but how about half of that 2.5? It helps us domestically. Like what's
yeah.
happening with our infrastructure, what's happening, healthcare, roads, whatever, right?
It
So
could happen. Like something's got to give, and I would say like if there's any positive or benefit, I guess you could say is I feel like Canadians have never been more vocal about these sort of things. Like this sort of stuff within governments about where's the money going. There was a time not too long ago where people just didn't even pay attention to it. They just paid the taxes. They said this is how life is going to be. And I feel like the younger generation, they ask a lot of questions. They ask a lot more questions. We have greater reach through social media too. So, a lot of people wouldn't know about this stuff, or who wouldn't know about it in the past know about it now. And so awareness is where it starts. And then, yeah, like you said, through this podcast or other channels, if people hear it in a lot of different places, it could carry some momentum and actually hold, politicians' feet to the fire.
I mean, I don't want to dive into a really deep dark hole, but did you guys see on like social media about Minnesota and everything? Like, did you got like, and I mean, that is a social media person changing like political structure,
Yeah.
like just craziness. I don't think we should dive into that stuff, but like just crazy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That was wild.
absolutely.
And in fact, I didn't even know where that started. So yeah, now that you mentioned that, I'm like, wow,
It
that
came,
came from that.
came it came from a YouTuber.
Wow.
Like it just like crazy and obviously got enough people and everything. And I mean, I think there's real proof to what he's done. And I think there's some stuff that's like not totally true. But again, it's getting the word out there.
All right, we shift gears here. There's a recent survey by rentals.ca, saying that, I mean, this isn't news to both of us, but it's kind of a sad state of affairs that almost half of all Canadian renters, they're saying they're spending over 50% of their income on rent. And 33% of them spend more than 50%. And additional 12% say they spend more than 70% of their net income on rent. Now, this is not localized to the main metropolitan areas. Like I can see that in Vancouver and Toronto, but it's also happening in the smaller cities as well.
Oh, It happens. I last year, well, no, 2 years ago, we were doing like a higher level rental, and like I treat people that come to my rentals as if they're getting a mortgage. Like I want to see what their pay stubs are, and the to me, I like to see people not over a 50% income, like that way. And I had one person, they're like, "Oh yeah, like we're only using 30%." I'm like, "Yeah, I feel like there's something wrong here. Like this is a really high rental." Got her pay stub, and she was using 70% of her income towards the rental. I'm like, no, like I'm not, I'm sorry. Like I in good conscience can't let you do this. Yes, maybe could you scrape it together? And that's just, it comes down to financial awareness. People just don't actually understand what's coming out of their bank account.
Mhm.
They think, oh, on paper, my boss says I make 100,000. That's your gross income. That's not your net income. And that's where it gets scary.
Yeah, I think the story, like behind the story, and like we're obviously all in this industry. For how long have we seen headlines like this every year, right? For the past several years, and rents have come down during that time in the last 2 years. So rents have come down. Conceivably, rent should be more affordable. Is this more so? Of course, like income's not growing as well. Because what's happening, obviously, in the rental market now is we're seeing a lot of transitory behavior from tenants, right? So they're in a property and they say, "Oh, I can be in the same building now, and I can pay 10% less, and I can move very easily just down the floor." So you see a lot of this transitory stuff happening where before, you if you were a landlord, you kind of wanted your tenant to leave every couple of years, 2 3 years, so you can enhance the rent, but it's even more sobering when rents are coming down and this is the same story that's happening, every year.
And that's like, from what I've heard, is like lots of people are like, landlords are trying to get together, be like, let's not lower rents, let's offer other incentives.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if it's just a chase down the bottom, and well, I offer you 1,500, but Hassan's like, hey, I'll give it to you for 12. Alex like, hey, you come into my place, it's for 1,000. And it's, I mean, again, it's, I think it's a nice time to be potentially as a renter. And even the nice thing is, like in some cases, mortgage costs and rental costs are getting closer to that equilibrium again.
Yeah.
Before it'd been so far that like mortgage cost was so much higher than renting. It's like, well, why would I own that? Especially in Vancouver. Why the frick would I own it if I could rent it for 2,500 bucks?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing with the rental stuff is like you can try and get landlords together to set a price, but there's always one landlord that's more desperate. It's like home sales, right? It's the most desperate, motivated seller right now sets the market. Who is that in the street? Who is that in this building, right? And so, I heard stories. I was trying to rent my condo in Kelowna, and literally tenants were moving like overnight. They were breaking 1 year leases because they just took on a new lease. 3 months later in the same brand new building, rents are already down 10, 12%. They just leave in the middle of the night. There's no repercussion. They're like, let's just move our stuff, sign a new tenancy agreement. It's an issue. It's so different than how it was a few years ago. So
A couple weeks ago, we were talking about Kelowna's rental vacancy is up to like 6 or 7%, and then
yeah,
I've heard someone on social say it's actually more like 11% now. So
yeah,
like them shutting out Airbnbs and all that stuff, and then overbuilding and all that. It's almost like how we're seeing that in Calgary now, where they've historically overbuilt, and
yeah,
we're kind of seeing that in the Kelowna sector right now.
yeah. Yeah, like we completed our unit in August, I want to say, and there were one bedrooms renting for 2,200 at that time. We just locked in a tenancy at 1,850 in January. So that's a pretty big slide, right? But even just getting a tenant nowadays is just take them on and feed the property more, but you kind of have to do what you have to do.
That's, I mean, I don't know if you've seen like in Calgary, I think is on, like I feel like it's, I mean, prices, rents have been going down there bad, and there's still just so many like rental, like purpose built rentals that aren't even completed yet there. Like it, to me, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah,
Like it is going to be like, and it's people that didn't really have development stuff, but they heard about the CMHC MLI Select. Oh, I can buy this
yeah.
place for 5% down. I'm going to make millions of dollars. They're going to come up to their and actually be completed, ready for rentals. They're not going to have anyone to rent it.
Yeah, I'm hearing at the
It's
consumer level for sure, people that left BC for affordability are like, nope, I'm coming back this way. Prices have come down enough over here. They've gone up enough over there where the delta is not worth, dealing with the weather over there. Like we're sitting here January, it's raining outside, but I just could wear like a light jacket and go for a walk if I wanted to. And I think we
Yeah.
kind of downplay the benefit of that here living in vans. So
Well, and they realize that the life isn't worth what you see on an Excel spreadsheet. Like, yeah, maybe they save $1,000 a month, but their life sucks. And sorry for those of you listening
their
in
life
Alberta,
sucks.
we love you, but we're in BC. We hate the Oilers. We hate the Flames. And
Yeah.
for me, I hate the Leafs too. But
Yeah.
Shanks is a Leafs fan. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
like yeah,
I
like
mean,
some
and
go
that's where
back
the
and
thing with that is like someone needs to do something with that money. Like that's where like $1,000, like, hey, if you invested that for 10 years, like, hey, you're sitting pretty and you get to then enjoy like the fruits of your labors. But it's a lot of people that are like, I'm gonna go here because it's cheaper, and then they never have a chance to come back. But like
Mhm.
anyone that's trying to get ahead, I'd move there, make a 5-year game plan, get yourself ahead, and then you get to come back and enjoy the what BC is. And yeah, I would pay a premium to be in BC if I could afford it over to Alberta.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think most people are just not disciplined enough to move to Calgary, take that savings, actually invest it. Most people aren't going to do it, even if it's the right thing to do. So
No, exactly. This is I mean, this one's ugly, and again, at least it's not in BC. I mean, we'll see what the BC numbers are here soon, but like the actual greater like GTA house prices are now down 26% from the peak. Which I mean, would it like what would Abbotsford be like? Do you know like those numbers at all? I
it
saw
would
like if you
be,
looked at those,
yeah, yeah,
I feel like they would be close to those
pretty
numbers.
close. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Probably
that's like
around.
what like the thing to me is anyone that was bidding 300,000 $400,000 over asking prices, it's like in my I'm like, what did you think was gonna happen? Like it just yeah,
Yeah.
I just did not see that those numbers were like I knew prices were already higher and I didn't see them coming down crazy, but like this number makes sense when you bid 400,000 over and hey, the house was actually only worth 200,000 over.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just such a perfect storm, right? Because like everyone wanted to get out of Vancouver. Like COVID hits, and imagine, like, we were scared of, like, walking past people sometimes, like, you thought you were gonna catch a bug, right? So people are like, "Hey, I
You had
gotta
to drive
try out."
to your car with a mask because
yeah,
you were
I
scared.
So
remember I had to
like
wear
like
goggles, a mask. I had to wear rubber gloves, right? And just to go grocery shopping, it was scary.
people weren't driving with their windows down because they thought COVID was gonna come through the windows, right? So it's like when we look at like Abbotsford, just as an example, in Chilliwack, it's like, okay, work doesn't want me in the office anymore. I need to not be so close to my neighbor. I don't even want to be in an elevator. So it's like pushing all these people to Abbotsford, Chilliwack, and now they hate it out there.
Back in the office,
They have
when
to
hey,
go
you
back.
gotta be in the
They have to go
office.
back, and they hate it out there. I'm talking to like quite a few people that are like, we got to come back from the valley, Langley, Abbotsford, Surrey as well. They're like, we got to get closer to work now. So yeah, it's kind of ugly.
Are you seeing like this graph? I'm hearing like some chatter about we've erased all of the COVID gains and we're back to around. I heard one saying that we're at 2017 prices again. Like, are we back to there? Are we around like, did we erase all the COVID gains in the lower mainland?
So I looked this morning. Greater Vancouver did not, as a whole. Now, some areas are 2017 prices. So, for example, downtown Vancouver, mainly Vancouver proper, you're getting a lot of deals. You're purchasing stuff that's at 2017 pricing, sometimes a little bit less. But when you look at Greater Vancouver as a region, because I was wondering that, I'm like, hey, how low have we come? And even like last year, this is kind of interesting. Is worst sales in decades, right? Like the lowest sales. It's all over the headlines. Prices came down December to December on average across all product types, 5%. 5%. Worst sales in decades. They came down 5%. So headlines make it sound like prices are coming down a lot quicker than they are. They're also generally slow to increase, but they're also slow to decline. So long answer to the question is we haven't erased all the gains, though some areas definitely have.
Are you saying that like areas that have erased most of the gains are all strata, like condos and such, or even
Uh,
detached homes? You think?
if for the most part, so you basically had to look at, which areas were really hot and piping around 27, 2018, right? And so when we look at like downtown Vancouver, that was basically there were some areas between 2015 and 2017 where condos doubled in price. I was looking at Yaletown, Cole Harbor, literally from January 2015, I think, till August 2017, these condos doubled because, again, all that foreign money kind of coming in. So it was always going to take a long time to kind of make that back. And then, COVID hits, and now the one place that didn't benefit from price appreciation was pretty much downtown or like Vancouver proper. So they stayed stagnant. But yeah, mainly condos are the ones that are more stagnant and actually gave back some of the gains.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you got to move to the island. There's no numbers are definitely not back towards 2017.
Yeah, yeah. I actually heard that like island BC assessments or whatnot, a lot of them were up. Like a lot of the detached homes and Nanaimo, Schwartz
Yeah.
Bay.
Oh, like 2%. Nothing, nothing like there's not big numbers there. And that's why I mean everyone's freaking out. Is like, I don't want that number to go up. I don't care about that for one. And yeah, that's where it's just interesting. Like every market's different. I always tell a story like I bought a place in 2023. I was expecting to lose money. I had to pay over asking, but I was willing to do it. It's now worth more money. But I did not go into it expecting that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our BC assessment just came out, which obviously it historically wasn't that accurate, but over the last couple of years, it's been more accurate than not. And I was floating it out with our family chat, like, "Hey, what's our assessment value?" We're down about 4.5%, and some people in our families around down 4% as well. I heard,
It's pretty average.
yeah, I heard one was down like 10 or 20%. I'm like, that's kind of odd. Like that would probably be a condo, you would think, right, Hazan?
That I think that's probably in error. Like when I look at ones like that, when it was down that much, I'm like, okay, was last year's assessment off and they just made a correction for this year? Like someone sent me a Chilliwack detached home, it went up like 30%. So I'm like looking at it and saying, okay, like what happened? Did the zoning change? Like where is this located or whatnot? So I always say take the number with a grain of salt, but it's like it's a talking point, it's a discussion point. And I think what'll be interesting this coming year is I think buyers are going to look at the lower BC assessed values and say, we want an even better deal than we were trying to get last year. And then sellers, if they stay tight to even what they thought last year they were going to get, they're not going to sell. So it's going to be, I think, a bigger standoff this year. Hopefully, it doesn't gridlock the market, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
In the Vancouver area, like, is your guys' BC assessment, like, closer to, like, the actual, like, sale price, like, of what it actually is, like, per se worth?
Look,
Like, we know that usually we were quite a bit, like, away from it. Like, our BC assessments still do not match up to market value.
right?
We are still well below, because we always get clients, like, "I see that house is, listed for 1.4, but the BC assessment says 980.
Yeah.
I want it for 980." It's like, "No, that's not the market value."
Yeah, I think it's very product type dependent. So, I think if it's a cookie cutter condo, built within the last 10 years, there's no upgrades done to it. You can look at July 1st of last year. You can look at where values might have been then. And then what I do is like, I'll just look at the price trend from July until now. And let's say condos, maybe they came down an additional, I don't know, 3.5% or 3%, then I might kind of, factor that in. A lot of realtors will listen to that and they'll say, we can't believe you look at BC assessed values. I think if you have a data point and you're not using it somewhere within your analysis, why not use it, right? So I can kind of get a bit of a guideline with that. But detached homes that have like more unique features, I don't like to look at that assessed value too much or upgrades that have been done. But yeah, it's been closer this year with the condos for sure.
Us had a couple of clients that like they had pre-sales that closed last year. Their like rates were higher. So we've been like, oh, let's see it. Like it's a good time to break. It's like, oh no, we're not breaking that mortgage because we can't take you to any other lender because it now wouldn't appraise at the right number.
Oh yeah, yeah, the appraisal issue. So there's always something, right?
Sounds good. Well, we're gonna shift gears. They invaded Venezuela, and President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores got captured, and I guess they were boated back to New York to stand trial. Um, this was part of a large scale strike. They're calling, he's calling Venezuela a narco state and rigging Venezuela's 2024 election. We all know the reason why he's invaded Venezuela, right? It's not because it's being a big brother and trying to free the people under communist dictatorship. What's the word
Secure
it's
the
really oil. We all know it's oil, right? So if you guys look on the YouTube graph here, Venezuela has the most crude oil reserves in the world, next to more than Saudi Arabia. And
That's wild.
Canada, we're number 4 in that, right? I mean, what do you guys make of it?
I mean, this is like for sure all over the headlines, and I believe like yes, there is part of it is due to oil, but I also think it's more minerals. Like this is like every country's biggest worry right now, and it's mainly to do with warfare. Is like they need minerals to be able to make all the stuff, and Venezuela has some of the biggest gold mines out of every single country. And again, they're not using these things. I think it's been like 30 years since like they've actually been exporting oil at like a high basis. We can look at this. The crude oil exports for them in the billions is at 4 billion. We're at 107. Like they're not exporting stuff. And the thing is, we can say, hey, US is going to start taking it from Venezuela, not from Canada. It would take years for all that infrastructure to get back up and running.
Mhm.
It's not like awesome. They can just turn on a pipeline, tap it up to US here right now. And that's where like I don't fully believe that narrative. All the infrastructure of what we sell from Canada to US, like they're not going to stop that. Like all the manufacturers are not going to be like, oh, Trump says we got to take it from Venezuela. We're going to start trucking it up here. Like no one's going to say yes to that because the cost of it would be astronomical.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like also, for sure, like the US protecting their hold and power in the Western world as well. Like, obviously, you have China, you have Iran that, had been, at least discussing with Venezuela. And that was like obviously a big point for the US where, that's on your turf, as weird as it is to sound. It's, on your side of the world. And I think, with that, and then now Greenland talks about purchasing Greenland. It's all about, holding on to power that, I think the rest of the world felt was kind of slipping away from the US, definitely under the previous administration. And it's just, protecting the asset, protecting the bag, so to speak. Um, but yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Every day there's something new that's happening. And
Definitely.
Canada, we
I
gotta
mean,
sit and watch and kind of react to what happens. So
there was something, and I can't remember where it was from, so I definitely don't quote me, people. But I know there was someone made a bet, like right near the end of December, that by the end of January, that he would be gone from president as Venezuela. They put like $400,000 on it or something, and then obviously it's made millions. And it's like where? How did you put that on your bingo card for
yeah.
2026? Like where did that come up? I mean, there was like no news chatter or anything of like Trump is upset with like the pre like it's just wild. It was definitely a wild start going into
What is it,
2026.
January 7th? January 6th or
Yeah.
7th right now? Like, pretty crazy start, but
Yeah, like I kind of agree with Alex in that, right? In saying that in theory, it would put pressure on Canada because hey, US can tap into Venezuela. But let's think about this geographically. We're right above the US. We just have a pipeline in the ground that we just divert oil to.
yeah.
Venezuela, as far as my geography is, like you'd have to ship it, right? Like
Yeah.
there is no
Yeah.
pipeline that goes
Mhm.
through Central America, through every country. You have to put it on a ship and then bring it to the country. It's not that easy, and you're right. It takes years to build, and if anything, I think it just puts pressure on Carney and the Liberal government to really like uh, get rid of this net zero BS and double down
Which
on
I mean, isn't BC?
resources.
Hasn't BZ said like the net zero, like that's gone now? They've removed it. I mean, what even during Christmas we got Ford. Ford is done with EVs; they're out of it. So I mean, it's it was just a narrative that people want to use, and like it's not going to happen. Like the infrastructure is never going to be there to have 100% like EV. It was not possible.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we as a country, we need to really extract our resources because that, like, when we look at productivity, it's all through our resources. And, like I was listening to another pod, and then we sell coal to China, and they use their coal to generate power. And we know that power is not clean, but because we're not generating it, we're not doing it in our own province and country, we're okay. But if we sell it to
Yeah.
someone else, you can ruin your own environment, but we're okay. We can just, ride off on this
That's where
high horse.
that's where I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
To me, if like we had to do that, we would have to say, "Hey, we're not selling it to you," or "Hey, you have to pay an astronomical amount of money to be able to buy it." Because then it would force them not to. But it's like, no, we don't actually care about that.
Yeah, if
Yeah, I
anything,
think
like,
one of our issues
take
with
advantage.
here in Canada is we just like also the coordination between like federal and provincially, and obviously each province has, a different way that they want to do things, and anytime they want to, coordinate with other provinces, there just always seems to be like some sort of hang up to get to a consensus to actually move forward. Like when you mentioned productivity, I just see there's like so many things that just stand in the way, things that, get muddy. And, circling back to the US again, not saying it's right or wrong, but Trump and the US administration, they decide they want to do something, they just go and do it. Where here it's like, federally, they got to coordinate with Alberta, and Alberta has a different feeling on it than, EB here in BC, and then, making sure we get the Aboriginal support for, various different infrastructure projects. There's just so many things that
And
hold things up.
you got to get Quebec on board too. If Quebec doesn't agree with it, then it's definitely not happening, even if it's nowhere near them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right? So
We just have way too much bureaucracy in Canada. Too many chefs in the kitchen. That's why we're just climbing over each other, and nothing really happens. That's
yeah.
that's if someone came to ask about Canada, that's basically the summary of it. We have a lot of resources, but we just freaking trip over ourselves, and nothing ends up happening, while the rest of the
Very
world
large
just
public
gets ahead.
sector.
Yeah. So I'm gonna shift gears here to something locally, and finally we get Hassan's take on this here. Um, so there's a lawyer named Corey Sheffman, who represents Indigenous people. He released an editorial on the Hill Times, basically saying, "No, Indigenous people are not coming for your privately owned land." Now, I'm referring back to the Cowichan land claim and some other land claims in Kamloops, as well as Coquitlam and such. So he said here in the article here, or the editorial, the critics are inflaming anti-Indigenous sentiment. They are engaging in a campaign of fear mongering in order to set back the progress of reconciliation and public anger. And they are mischaracterizing it in a manner that can only have been intended to divide Canadians. Now, the Cowichan tribes have been unmistakably clear about their intentions. The only land that Cowichan actually asked to have back, and which the court ordered returned, was land owned by Canada and the city of Richmond, not land owned by individuals. What do you think about that?
So, I would start by saying, I understand this is obviously a very sensitive topic. It runs very deep, and a long-standing issue. I think the big challenge is a lot of the stuff you would hear like in the media or from some of these lawyers is they would say, this is not going to affect private property owners. This is not meant to, and it's not going to. And I think what we ultimately saw play out, and this is where the issue is whether or not the Cowichan tribe were coming for private property rights, whether or not they were. The way the ruling was made, it left ambiguity and no clarity surrounding private property rights. It was up in the air, and so no longer can you say that private property owners weren't affected. Now you had, homes that were on the market within these territories, not selling. I don't think anything has sold within, this land claim territory since the ruling. You have, mortgage lenders saying we don't want to touch not only this boundary, but we don't want to touch Richmond for many of them. So it's the disparity between the intent of the Aboriginal groups, and this is not just the Cowichan group, wherever it might be. It's the difference between the intent, what they want, and what the actual repercussion is. And the fact of the matter is, private property owners today that really had nothing to do with what happened 30, 40, 60, 70 years ago, they are being impacted. And so something has to give. There needs to be a happy medium. Private property owner rights need to be protected. Um, so I think the angle that they play, where we're not coming for private property rights. Could you? Like now with the way the courts have decided and judged that Aboriginal title holds validity, could you do it at a future date? You
Yeah,
probably could.
exactly. Just because you say that's not your intention, the law, this Judge Barbara Young or something, she's
Yeah.
basically ruled in favor that you can do it in the future. So, I mean, tell that to all the Richmond owners who can't sell right now with all the properties that are illiquid. And I mean, we're telling everybody here, like, if I was a buyer, I would not buy in Richmond right now, right? Just like anybody, like, and these failed investments, $100 million like manufacturing or construction deal that just blew up because of this. Sounds great, but in theory, this is up in the air, and it's concerning a lot of us, especially in BC and the rest of
Yeah,
Canada.
there's the deal for the Versanti Hotel. Sorry, there's a deal for the Versanti Hotel in Richmond, not even within the boundaries. That ended up collapsing because of this ruling. Um, yeah, there's lots of stories like that. I had someone reach out to me on Instagram. She was closing on a pre-sale in Queensborough, and her lender, who granted was not a BC lender, basically asked her at closing to show proof that Queensborough would not be subject to further land claims. And I was like, we can't do that. Like we can show that they're not in the Cowichan boundaries, but you can't do anything beyond that. And the lender didn't want to close without seeing that proof. So it's a massive, massive issue, which I think more people need to be talking about. Honestly, it sucks to talk about. I
I
hate
had
it.
someone I had someone in Nanaimo, and they're like, it's a private. We have to renew because they're doing some business stuff. And his lawyer wanted to renew everything to make sure, like, well, is there any wording that if land claims comes in, can the lender back out? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, that's great because we're actually seeing that in some of them now. Like
Oh,
private lenders are putting wording in there that if you're in there, we're backing out and you have to give us it because they're losing security. They may have been lending at say even a 50% loan to value if it's worth $1 million. But hey, boom, they've just knocked it down by 40%. Now their loan to value is actually like 80, 90%.
right. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So here's a side note.
So it's
For those of us in BC here, if you are, you know, buying something that's not involved in this area, you should strongly consider title insurance through First Canadian Title. They're the only title insurer in BC which covers Aboriginal land claims on residential properties. So personally,
Bold.
myself, I'm in the middle of trying to refinance my property. I need to get First Canadian Title for title insurance for my home. So, uh,
where did you get who did you get that from?
oh, that's Steve Saretsky put that out there. So, and he's a pretty
I mean, I
credible
would just be
source.
interested to know. And I mean, like, it's the title, man. Title companies, like, I would say they'll probably be changing that pretty quick. As soon as they see like an influx, they're going to be, I
Yeah.
could put money, they'll be removing that wording.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I get in before they change it.
Yeah.
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 I should do it now.
So,
Do it quick.
yeah, this takes us to our favorite part of the program, and one of the main reasons why we brought Hasan in is our housing forecast for 2026. Um, whether it be housing, interest rates.
Prices to the moon. Gotta
Yes.
buy now. Get in right now.
Rebound
Don't
year.
buy.
All right, Hasan, you are our special guest. You get first crack. Do your
I
forecast.
mean, I'm just a real estate agent, so I'm going to give my take on basically, what I think is going to happen. I think, how we ended off last year and how last year went is outside of the low sales, we also had, record levels of inventory. So that was kind of, putting a damper on prices, like we kind of talked about, down 5% last year. Even with all of this inventory, even with lower sales. What I'm noticing over the last couple of months, and many realtors are as well, is activity has picked up versus the first half of the year. January was strong. And then, the months following that were not. And September, October started to kind of pick up. What I find is that a lot of buyers out there, they are tired of waiting for certainty when it comes to the economy and trade relations and all of these headlines. And what they've realized is that uncertainty is now certainty. And so they're starting to take some action. So, what I believe is going to happen this year, I do believe we're going to have more sales activity. We're going to have more sales occur. Maybe not in January versus last year because January was strong, but I think the following months we'll have higher sales activity with prices still continuing to come down. What I'm seeing in the market is the baseline price for, say, a one bedroom condo. That floor price, it's pretty sticky right now. But where I think we're going to see further price declines are the higher priced properties, whether those are the two-bedroom condos people bought in pre-sale in 2021. They paid 1,100, 1,200 a square foot in some of these prime areas. I think that comes down. I think entry level kind of stays stable and maybe even grows. But it'll be another year of, meh sales volume and probably further price declines, with things possibly rebounding, depending on what happens in Q4 of this coming year.
So
Okay.
this is not your purview or not your area, but where do you think interest rate's going to be? Like, is it going to go up?
Yeah,
Like
I
some
was gonna
say,
leave
is it
that
gonna
to you then. So
hey, go ahead.
I think for like, when I listen to what the Bank of Canada has been saying in their last couple of announcements, they very much been saying we're done. Like, we would like to be done on cutting rates further. And so, I do think that's likely what we're going to see at least over the next, several months, maybe another rate cut if the data permits it. But I think that would be it. I think that would be it. And then on the fixed rate side, and again, you guys will probably have better insights. I mean, let me know. I haven't really seen them move much in the last while, even after.
Gone up. They've only gone up.
Yeah, so it's really hard to say. Like, you would think that they would go down, and I think in the last year, they really didn't follow trends like they had in previous years with the bank cutting and what would happen with fixed afterwards. And maybe it's because of the uncertainty in the market. So I think, maybe a slight another cut, something along those lines by the bank. But I really don't see much change to fixed mortgage rates or rates really even playing a factor this year.
Hassan, what are your thoughts on tariffs? Are we still going to have tariffs looming by the end of 2026, or do you think we'll be settled?
Depends on the day. Well, they have to renegotiate Kuzma, right? So I mean, uh, yeah, I think
What's your
they'll still be up in
prediction?
the air. We've always, yeah, there'll always be tariffs. It's whether they're going to actually like enact the tariffs for a certain period of time. If you were to ask me, like, do I think we're still going to be talking about them as much at the end of this year or Q4? I don't think so. I think there'll still be the noise that, there's negotiations happening. But I just don't think it's going to be such a lead story, and that's why I think sales volume picks up a little bit too. Because last year it was such a lead story, like up until July, every day it was like, this is the worst thing that could happen to Canada, is kind of how the headlines made it. But now it's old news. And so sentiment, it drives the market as well as affordability. And so I think that's why we're going to see some more movement, some more sales happening.
One more thing before Alex moves on is
Wow, really grilling me over there.
what are your thoughts on the what do you think about pre-sales? Like, where do you see that coming this year? That
Yeah.
market, or is there even a market?
Well, I know, like, so developers aren't really building, anything new at this current moment, right? Unless it's rental. I don't foresee developers launching, many projects this year at all. I think if a buyer is considering a pre-sale, I think for like 80 to 90% of buyers, they just don't make sense. And it also depends on, what phase, what stage are you purchasing into that pre-sale? Is it before they have the building permit, before they've actually put a shovel in the ground? Then at that point, you have to understand this may never happen. And then what's the implication if I put my deposit down and it doesn't happen? And what's my opportunity cost in terms of what could I do with this deposit right now today? Whereas if you buy a pre-sale, maybe it's already under construction, it's going to complete. Maybe that's a different scenario. You need to buy it because you want to be in a specific building, specific area. So it's just such a broad question, but I think for the vast majority of people, probably doesn't make a lot of sense.
Sounds good. All right, Shanks, it's your turn. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, it's the hardest thing is well, you guys are closer to same markets. My market's completely different from my majority of area, and our prices and like even transactions have been up. Like, I mean, for myself, my business increased by 96% year over year, and it was already big from the year before. And so like and I mean, nicest thing I get to say for like Alex and myself, like for mortgages, I do it all across Canada. Like for you, it's on like you're stuck there. It's not like you're going to fly to Toronto, not going to fly to Nova Scotia to go and help someone. And so, I mean, as a mortgage broker, I think we get more flexibility because of that. Like we're not strangled like crap, nothing's selling in Vancouver. I guess I got no work here right now, where we can kind of go everywhere. And that's where in my area, I still see prices going up a little bit. I would say more to me, again, I think I even said this last year. I'd rather just see prices be steady.
Yeah.
Like that's, I would love to have like 3 or 4 years of just like, just straight steady. Like, and that would be the same thing for me on interest rates. I think we are close to what I said we would be at. I think maybe I thought fixed could go down to like 3.5% on the insured side, which we had for a very small amount of time. There was a couple times that you could get an interest rate about 3.5 on the fixed side. Variable is very close to that. Now, I don't think we'll see any more rate cuts unless the news dictates it
Mhm.
of like, hey, you know what? Tariffs are coming in, tariffs aren't coming in, inflation is staying down, the job reports, it's going to look ugly again to me in January here. It's going to look like more jobs are added. It's going to be February that it's like, oh shit, all those jobs were part time. We're actually not adding to our economy.
Yeah.
And so I'm personally fine with where rates are. Like I know anyone that has higher debts, they all want lower rates. But again, like if we go much lower, it would be for a very short period of time, a year to 6 months, and then the bank would have to increase again. Like I don't think like we'd go down to 3.5 to say, yeah, we're staying here. It'd be like, no, we're going down to fuel, and then we got to go back up. And that's where I'd rather just kind of stay where we are right now and kind of see what it looks like, give some more incentives maybe to businesses. When we talk about like the foreign investment, why don't we give business owners that have money sitting in their bank accounts? They're not going to take it out because they don't want to get taxed by the Canadian tax people because they don't know what our taxes are even doing. Give people some incentives to actually put back into the economy. And that's where I feel like we need to do more of that. Tariffs, I still feel like it's going to be something we're talking about. And that's mainly just while Trump is in power. Till he's gone, I don't think it's gone. He's going to bring it up ever so often. The news is going to die down. I mean, all the stuff going on with him and Epstein files and everything. He's going to bring something else in. I mean, there's even people saying that he attacked Venezuela because they didn't want to have the news about Epstein. Like
Happen on the same day or something.
exactly, like it's wild.
I think I'm similar. I'm a little bit more bullish on the interest rate cut from Alex. Like what we said last year about when the end of the year where we had a temporary uptick on unemployment and more jobs. Alex and I and that had been like recorded on here to say we think that's bullshit. Like it's not real. Like once we hear in February those jobs are all temporary, seasonal, and we're back down being crappy, we're going to see more job losses like we had in 2025. We're probably going to see more of it. There's going to be more crappy news like we've seen in Toronto, Vancouver real estate edging down, not as hard, but still not so good. I'm calling it Bank of Canada is probably going to make one cut. Two, if things go really bad, I'll call it just one more cut. But we're really close to circling that toilet right now about being the bottom in rates. I'm saying to my clients, we're really close. We're not quite there yet. It's going to be flat for now for interest rate wise until maybe the spring, and we might see another cut. But I'm calling BS on all the market odds calling for a rate hike in the fall. I'm like, you know what? No, there's no signs of the news improving. Um, I agree tariffs will still be a thing, but I think Trump has like almost ADD where it's not the main thing anymore. He's going to get distracted by something else and it's no longer going to be a thing. But it's really, at the end of the day, it's not really about us that he's trying to fight against. It's really with China. And we're just collateral damage because we've had agreements with both China and the States, and they're just using us as you know, a fighting sword. So and in terms of interest rates too, like you know, the expectation of the U.S. Fed is that they're going to drop 3 times to 3% on their Q ending rate, whereas other countries in Canada are slated to increase. Well, U.S. is the world's global economy. Like it's kind of the bar that everything is measured on. Now, both can't be right, where US is going down, the rest of the world is going up. So it doesn't make sense. I'm kind of veering on the side where we'll either stay the same or we're going to drop it a quarter. Now, for pre-sales, I'm just speaking it from a outside perspective. I think pre-sales is going to continue to suffer. We're going to hear a lot more developers going belly up, going to receivership and stuff. We slowly start to see that. So you're right. Anybody looking to buy a pre-sale, I'd be like, why? Why do you want to throw your money away like that? Just buy um, a resale. Now, we're going to see a lot more purchase activity. Um, I don't see a point where prices will go up, but buyers are finally taking advantage now. They're sick of tired of waiting, and things aren't changing. There's opportunity right now. And because we have a renewal wave in 2026, we have a lot of clients who are looking to refinance. So we're doing a lot of refinancing right now. So yeah, we're going to be like that. It's going to be like that for this year. So this kind of wraps up our episode. I know you guys got to go. Thanks for sticking around. I want to thank Hasan for joining us. On behalf of Alex Shanks, Hasan Juma, I'm Alex Pang. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Now, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to follow us. Please give us a 5-star rating. You can even send us an email because we want to know what you guys want to hear about. That's what we're here for. Reach out anytime.